cloud. Does it say it's recording from your end? One.
Yep.
It shows recording on your end?
Yep.
All right. Good afternoon. Today is September the 12th. Welcome to the Business Relations Weekly Zoom meeting. We have one so far who joined us. Some other people may join. We had two folks earlier, but I think they prefer the recording because this is an interactive session. The reasons that we have these weekly meetings is so that as you practice the concepts that are being taught, we want you to come back so you get coached by somebody like me, because usually people, they don't get their messages answered, et cetera, et cetera. Arun, welcome to the call. Okay, so I guess that was a new one, right? So what I was saying was we liked interactive sessions because this is about you. When you get stuck is where the learning occurs. So let me just bring this back to, did you have any questions, Juan, before I continue with the material so that we bring everybody on board?
No, any question?
No questions, Juan?
Yep.
All right, so since Juan is the only person who is here, it's kind of a session about Juan with his questions that we're hoping other students would find value about. So if you're not part of the LinkedIn group, everybody starts by going to LinkedIn. And as you see on the screen, people go to Illinois Tech Career Services. Yes, this always happens because of the lag. I'm gonna kill my camera for a second because it's like really slow. So if you're not part of the LinkedIn group, you need to be part of the LinkedIn group. It's called Illinois Tech Career Services. You want the group, not the people entry. So once you're in the group, the important document that you need here is the index. So all you need to do is just scroll down slowly until you see index in the comment. So there's one instance. There's another instance. So you just pick one. And this document that you are seeing is a collection of links that was not originally designed for an index. But once we started sharing this with students for the information that you're seeing, people thought that it was very useful. And then that they decided, Arun, welcome.
Am I audible, sir? Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Welcome to the call. Is this your very first business relations call, Arun?
No, sir. I've already attended 2 to 3 events from career services. Actually, I'm Aruneshwar.
No. I'm talking about this one specifically because on Thursdays, it's very specifically about business relations. So is this your first attendance to business relations?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So you and Juan meet Arun, meet Juan. If you notice, I introduce people because it's all about relationships with people who are out there. So Arun and Atharv decides to come back. 12:52. Oh, I realize. Hey, Atharv, welcome to the call.
Hello.
So
Hello.
Atharv, is this your first business relations call?
Yes, Ben.
Okay, good. So perfect spot. So I have Juan, Arun, and Atharv who are all new to the topic. So I would like to start from scratch. So like we said, if you're not part of the Illinois Tech Career Services group, you need to join the group. Once you're in the group, like I was saying, all you need to do is under the content, find an entry that says index, and you just click it. And when you click it, this document opens up. So Arun and Atharv, have you checked out the index at all before coming to this call? Have you seen this, Atharv?
No, I do not think I've seen this before.
So first time, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
this is going to be your best friend because this was follow-up material to appointments at career services. But once we started sharing it with students, they said it was quite a wealth of information. So if you notice, we had to create it such that it became an index. So what you'll notice is we use hashtag, and then the topic. So if you notice, there's hashtag alumni, hashtag business relations, hashtag whatever topic that has to do with job search. And as you notice, business relations has a whole lot of content. So back to 𝗖𝗺𝗿 and Arun, I already checked with one. What do you understand when we say business relations, 𝗖𝗺𝗿 and Arun? Either one.
Business relation is networking, sir. Networking with new people, making connections.
Okay. I like when you say networking. The reason I don't like to use the word networking is people think that you're just collecting connections. Okay.
Okay.
The value of those connections is in the relationships that you create with those connections. Without those relationships, collections are just connections. They're just connected. You know, it's like you're connecting cars or whatever. So the value is actually in the relationships. That's why we call it business relations, because we want you to focus on the relationships. Thank you, Arun. What about you, 𝗖𝗺𝗿?
Yeah, the same definition only. And I think why the emphasis on networking is so much is because of LinkedIn. Because on LinkedIn also, I think we are prompted and to create connections and for networking only. I don't think even I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn, but I don't think I have any relations on LinkedIn with like I haven't had a real conversation with anybody regarding like business relations.
Yes, I'm very glad that you brought that up, 𝗖𝗺𝗿. Just to your point, it's very easy to send connection requests on LinkedIn right now. And sometimes there is a vanity factor in that when people see that you have a lot of connections, there's something to it. But like I said, without those relationships, those connections are just simply that. You have a lot of them, but for what purpose? Was there anything you wanted to add, Juan, to what 𝗖𝗺𝗿 and Arun shared so far?
Yes, what they said. It's easy to connect, and even for example, I have received a connection of someone, Lina, what else? And I asked her, why did you connect with me? Because if there is no point, there is no need.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like I said, there is a vanity factor. I've been working on LinkedIn for a while. So sometimes when somebody sees that you have 500 connections, or if somebody sees a profile like mine who has like 16,000 connections, they're like, wow, right? Whether there's value to that or not is not for me to say, but to some people, it's impressive. So do it for whatever reasons you have. And since LinkedIn has kind of made it easier, it's up to you because it's your presentation into social media. Any questions so far? So let's dive deep into business relations. The reason people want it is, have you ever had a situation where somebody got a favor or maybe got a job in some entity because they knew somebody in that organization? Have you ever known of anything like that?
Yes, sir.
Of
Back in
course.
my country, I've seen a lot of those
Okay.
happening.
So one of the other things that they also say about the US job market is that it's very highly referral based. What does that mean to you, 𝗖𝗺𝗿? If they say
Yeah, I
that the
think
US is, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that since the day I've landed and talked with my seniors, I think everybody has been telling me to like make relationships with my seniors, have a good relationship with them, so that whenever they get job, like they can refer me, and it's going to open more doors for me if I have better connections with my own seniors.
Very good. So you have the right concept. So let me create a distinction between what people generally use as the term referral. Usually the term referral is used, like say if Bernie worked for Amazon and then 𝗖𝗺𝗿 said, wanted some connections to Google, I would just say, hey, yes, use my name when you apply to a job at Google. Okay, that's what I'd like to call referral for our purposes. However, the reason you're being taught business relations is you do not want to stop at referrals. What you're looking for are actually advocates in the companies that you want, okay? The differentiation between advocate and referral. What do you guys think is the difference? No thoughts? So
Uh,
if somebody
I
says
can't.
somebody is advocating for human rights or somebody's advocating for the rights of animals, what are they doing?
Oh yeah, they are speaking on behalf of those, right? So like if somebody is maybe advocating for me in their job, they are taking responsibility that okay, this candidate is very, very good. And when they are referring, they are just like, okay, I know somebody who has who matches, whose profile matches the job description, and here is my referral. But advocating is like going on a more one step forward than that, I guess.
Yes,
Or in
absolutely.
simpler terms, we can say that a referral is just an acquaintance of him or her. And
Yes.
while advocating, it means that he is worthy of it. We can give it to him, speaking on the person behalf.
Well, about worthy, we don't know that, but we're saying that the relationship between the two people is such that one is advocating for the other. So if I work for Amazon, I could be looking out for you within Amazon. And also if I'm a software engineer, I have other software engineer contacts in other companies. So then I can also talk to the other companies on your behalf because of the relationship that you and I have. So that
not
being
only
said,
not only using your name to apply for a job in another company, but also use your relationship so that the other person talks good about you to the other company.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, very good. So you guys all understand that is why we are teaching you strategies on business relations, because it's very true that people know that the US is a highly referral-based market. And then we say, what is your game plan in finding jobs? And I noticed this at Career Services. People come into Career Services and all they're really talking about is help me with my resume. I applied to the job. I'm not getting interviews. So it's like, how are you applying? How do you make it a more proactive approach in finding jobs using business relationships? So the whole idea is you get to be proactive because in the first model, you apply to a job and then you only make those connections because of your application. The idea of using business relations for job search is that you get to select the companies that you want. You get to select the people in the jobs that you're aspiring to. So it becomes much, much more targeted. What does that mean to you when we say that it becomes much more targeted?
That it's easy for you to know if you have opportunities in this specific job, or what are the job or work that you are going to do while working in this position.
Yes. So very good. Are you guys seeing that this call is being recorded? Yeah,
Yes.
actually, I just saw it. I I recorded it last week and it didn't happen, so I see the red blinking light right now. So thank you for sharing that one. So the importance of what we're sharing is there's a right way to approach people and there's a wrong way to approach people. So when Atharv and Arun came to the call, Juan and I were talking about hashtag business relations. And what I was sharing with Juan was the third bullet talks about cold, connect, connect practice, and connect messaging. We're teaching you how to create these relationships from scratch, practically holding your hand in a concept that I suspect is very new to you. So connect cold, there's a group of messages here that says connect messaging, and then connect practice, and then connect cold. Connect cold are the initial messages that you make to people so that you can open the door and start the relationship with them. So to make this concept much, much more simpler from something that you already know, do you have a best friend, Arun? Arun or Atharv? You guys have best friends, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't notice that my mic is muted.
No worries.
Okay.
So I would assert that your best friend was at one point a stranger to you. True or false?
True,
Yeah.
sir.
True.
Okay, so from the point that they were a stranger to the point that they became your best friends, something had to occur for them to become your best friend. So we're mimicking that same thing in business relations. Well, you don't necessarily want them to be your best friend, but you're trying to get them to advocate for you, right? So the same process that occurred from you being a stranger, you had to create some sort of relationship such that they became an advocate, is a very similar journey to what we're suggesting. So if I met a new person, for example, we call it wrong way because it's inefficient. This was a bigger company. A hiring manager had just shared a job post about a job, and this was the message that the student shared. So the student, data science manager at Google, just posted a job, and this is the message that the student sent. So I'm not sure if you saw this already, Juan, but I'm going to ask 𝗖𝗄𝗏 and Arun. Feel free to jump in, Juan, whenever, all right? But I don't want you to be repeating yourself. Why is this ineffective?
It's too straight,
Sorry?
too straight, direct. I mean,
Direct?
just
Okay, what
applying
else?
for the job. It's like,
I guess the approach is
Remember your best friend, right? They were a stranger once. So this is a stranger also, a data science manager, and this is the message that the student is sending. I would say that the message you're reading is intuitive, right? It makes sense to write something like this, but it's not efficient. Why is it not efficient?
it's the same that applying for the web page. I mean, the message is for creating like a relation more than just applying for the job.
Yeah. So
Right.
this message is applying directly for the job, which again, in this case, makes sense because the hiring manager just posted a job. So it makes sense to send something like this. What people are forgetting is, number one, this is a big company. Number two, it's a hiring manager who just posted a job, right? So guess how many of these types of messages this manager is getting? A lot. And guess what everybody's saying? The same thing
The
that
same
you're
thing.
reading. Exactly. So part of what you're being taught is differentiate yourself, just like job search, right? The reason they pick you is number one, you need to catch their attention by differentiating yourself. So any ideas on differentiating yourself? So you guys all agree that this was inefficient, right?
Right.
yes.
Any ideas?
An idea is talking about she.
About the person who
her.
posted this job. So,
Yeah,
okay,
not
let's
about you.
use her as practice for everybody. So her name's 𝗖𝗄𝗏𝗏. So let's find her if I can see her. So Juan, what are you suggesting?
Just
Hang on,
research
hang on.
some important information about her to
Okay, very good.
to see in which
𝗖𝗄𝗏𝗏.
type of projects or research are she involved in.
Okay, so let's find her first, and then let's actually, instead of just talking about we'll do, let's do it. All right, so here's 𝗖𝗄𝗏. So
Yeah.
if you wanted to connect, actually, the way LinkedIn is structured today, they're constantly changing. If you notice the connect button, when I click connect, it asks you whether you want to add a note or send without a note.
Yeah,
If you have a free membership, sorry?
you have limited, that's what
Yes.
you're going to say.
If you have a free version, you're limited to the number of notes that you send with a note or add a note. So I usually reserve this for the people that I really, really want to get connected to it. Otherwise, if I just wanted a connection with 𝗖𝗄𝗏, I'd send it without a note. Do 𝗖𝗄𝗏 and Arun understand the
Yes, sir.
point that I just made? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
so
understood.
now, if she wasn't somebody that I was hot to connect with, I would just send a connect request, and then when she answers, then that's when I would start the relationship. But going back to the point Juan was saying, to find things in her profile that you could talk about to start a relationship so that I do not immediately start talking about a job as a strategy to differentiate myself from the hundreds of messages who you saw in the previous message, right? So tell me when to stop. Juan, I want you guys for the purposes of this call to formulate something that you could talk to Nithya about.
But she
Tell me to
studied
stop if I
also
need
in
to.
IIT, which is
Yeah,
more
that's
important
the
for
first point that we can see.
That's the first point that you made. All right, so let's practice. Just to give you some guidelines. I'm going to give you the first one with a connect called easy. So one of the strategies is, well, let's talk about the design principles first. So your message has to be short. Number two, it's got to be worded such that you're expecting a response, because what you're doing is laying the foundation for a conversation. Okay, so like in the example that we shared here is we're banking on common courtesy of a response to a greeting. And then the last one is do not make any requests when you send your first message. Or just general idea is if this person is a stranger, don't make any requests immediately. So in this example, we kind of like said it was 4th of July and I said, hi Eden, happy 4th. And I was counting on her to say happy 4th back to open the conversation. Questions about that, Arun and Athar? No questions? I will go back to Nithya now. Aside from the obvious, like we just said, what can we also do? Actually, it might help if I gave you some other examples, right? I think we covered Google. So if you'll notice the suggestions that we're doing, the message has to be very simple. And then in Google, we kind of said, hi, Megan. I hear students are learning a lot from you guys. What are you noticing with my message? So Megan doesn't know who I am, and this is the message that I'm sending her. What strategy am I employing?
asking about the showing the benefits or working on or learning from Google, and
Showing the benefits?
I mean showing the good points, and it's talking
Yeah.
about their company and
They're
not
learning a
about
lot
you.
from, correct. And to your
and
point,
that you want to learn also.
no, not necessarily. So if you read this for the first time and I'm a stranger, what are you thinking?
Doesn't describe who you are, but
I'm very vague. On
yeah,
purpose.
it's so vague. Yep.
Did you guys catch that? I'm quite vague on purpose because I want them to be curious. I want her to check out my profile because he'd be like, who's this guy talking about, the students are learning a lot from you guys. Or how does 𝘆𝗿𝗥𝗙𝗿𝗥 know that I'm working with students? They have no idea, right? Because I'm sending this to a stranger. So what I'm using out here is the strategy of being vague so that they're curious. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, the whole name of the game is trying to be different versus like that first message that you saw earlier, right? They're sending the usual. Hey, my name is Bernie 𝘆𝗿𝗥𝗙𝗿𝗥. I went to Illinois Tech, graduated master's in electrical engineering, blah, blah, blah. These are my work experience, right? So you see how something like this is very different. Questions?
Right.
So how about weather? This person must happen to be in the same locale because I cannot talk weather if I'm in Chicago and they are in Hawaii, for example, right? So this must be somebody in the same location as me. Yes, it was. So guess what my message was? Happy snow day, right? So I'm assuming this was sent to a person who happened to be in Chicago also, because if I said happy snow day and they live in Florida, well, number one, it doesn't snow there. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, right? But you guys understand this, right? I'm speaking about something, or if it was bad. Question so
So
far?
it must to be short, so it doesn't
Very short.
spend so much time in reading and and also getting them interested and curious about the message.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Getting them interested and curious. So let's see what I sent here to this recruiter. I'm trying to pick other examples here, Juan, so that you're not bored because I'm picking the same example. Okay, so this was a student who was actually asking a question. They said they wanted to know how to approach a university recruiter. Somebody's volume is loud, we're hearing background. So I kind of showed them where to find the answers. Oh, I didn't quite answer it. Okay, this won't help for our purposes. So let me go back to Coca-Cola. Arun, you switched the computer,
Yes, sir.
your speaker on? What's
Yep,
for
yep.
lunch? I hear you're cooking.
No, sir. My roommate is actually cooking.
I'm just joking.
Like,
So notice who we're talking to right now. Chase, this person works for Coke. So take a look at my opening line. I'm talking about their product. Questions? Athar, what are you getting out of this? You're smiling. Must mean
Yeah,
something.
it's making me laugh.
It's stupid. Like
Stupid?
everything. The small things that we try to use to connect with people, right? It seems a little, out of the
Odd.
box,
It
out of the
seems
grid.
odd. Correct.
Odd, yes, odd is the
It
correct.
seems
Yeah.
odd from what we're trying to do, but that's part of what you're being taught. I've worked on LinkedIn for quite a while. You guys, especially in the academic space, everything's so formal because you're obviously in a formal institution. So I can understand why you have that hat on, but you have somebody who's worked in business specifically on LinkedIn for a while. I know the environment. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you guys is there's a whole world out there that speaks a different language, in a different demeanor, so to speak. So I'm saying take advantage of that, because when you have over 1 billion people on a platform, everybody could not possibly be speaking formal. So I'm trying to say it's okay for you guys to roll up your sleeves to people's in companies and just make it informal. And this is totally based on what we know as American small talk. So in the index under hashtag business relations, I want you guys to check out this article, okay? American small talk.
sure.
So I don't know if you guys notice it. You could be waiting in line at the grocery store and somebody just starts talking to you about random stuff, right?
Yeah,
This is
right.
what we're capitalizing because it's a practice in American society. Questions? No questions?
Oh, you
So how
break the
to
ice?
begin a small? I mean, American small talk. So how to begin that? I
That's
have no
exactly
clue
what I
what.
want.
Yeah,
That's why I want you to, number one, read the article, and number two, I want you to
Sure.
take a look at all these examples.
Sure.
And number three, that's why we have these meetings every week, so that we can talk about your outreach, because as you learn the stuff, you're going to start practicing.
Oh, I
You're going
have
to
a
learn
question.
what works. Go ahead, Juan.
I have a specific question because tomorrow I'm going to go to the IMTS, the manufacturer fair, which
Face to face,
yeah,
career fair. Okay.
yeah, no, to the IMTS, the manufacturing fair that is on McCormick Place, I think.
Okay.
And because one professor told us that we should go to know and companies. And how can
Yes.
we like build a relation or start a relation with for example, I'm interested in software companies for manufacturing sector that do ERPs, and how can we start the conversation? I mean, in this specific situation in which they are working to sales and to show their product to other companies, and you are a student that doesn't fit with their purpose. So how
Okay.
can we start?
So I like the way that you were telling me the background of this, because part of what you're being taught in business relations is how to read the situation. Okay, so let me connect that back to American small talk. Small talk, you can pretty much talk about anything, but the reason it's called business relations strategist, what you're being taught in these meetings is actually strategy. So in order for you to be strategic, you have to understand and read the situation, just like Juan said, okay? It's a manufacturing show in Chicago, and the primary purpose of these people you will be meeting are actually to showcase their product to the public, right? Is that what you said, Juan?
Yeah. So the
Okay.
professor advised us to go and say what cool is their product and their company, and then start talking and asking questions, because you have before do a little of research, and then until you can ask for a company card or personal card information, so that you can keep it, and then when it passes like 1-2 weeks, you can email him trying to get involved. He said trying to get involved in the company or this stuff, but even it could be a bit straight or direct, so you can even
Not
continue.
strange.
Okay.
It's not strange. These guys are here publicizing their products, right? So for you guys to be strategic and to be effective when you go to this one, I would research these companies. Do you have a list of these companies?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would research what those products are. Okay, so if I was somebody working for a company and somebody approached me talking about my product, guess what I'll be doing? I'd be like, wow, impressive. He's talking about me. Guess what happens? You see how that's all strategy? If you talk about me and my product, I'll be more apt to talk to you, right? So this whole thing that we're talking about business relations, we're just showing you how to open the door. In this case, it's face-to-face. The door is open, right? So remember your stranger friend all the way to best friend. It had to start somewhere. You guys know how those friendships started. Superimpose that process into the business environment. And that's the same exact process. You just have to take into consideration the difference of environment. It's now business. But just like you with your friend, friendship is kind of a back and forth, right? So if you got them to talk, you know that they were into basketball, for example, you knew that that was their favorite. You started talking about basketball. Just like if you did this research on this company with this product, talk about their basketball by researching their products. Right? So just like your friend, when you started talking about basketball, because this was their interest, they were more likely to talk, and then you started getting closer. It was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. He likes basketball too. In this case, it'd be, hey, the student is pretty cool, because they'd ask you, which company do you work for? And you say, no, I actually am a student at Illinois Tech in this major, blah, blah, blah. But you see how the question came from, because they'd be surprised. They'd be like, wow, who is this person who's talking about my stuff? He must know a lot. He must work for the competitor or a similar company. What did you guys just learn?
To think out of the box in LinkedIn connections.
How? How do you think out of the box?
Trying to surprise the other, and trying to get a response.
Yeah.
By
And
a
how do you
little
surprise
message.
them? How do you surprise them?
Yeah, I like the one talking about the weather. If the other person lives in the same city, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And if not,
Or for people
searching.
going to, yeah, McCormick Place, they probably drove. Oh, did you drive? Did you take the train? How was traffic? Right?
Okay.
All of these are all opportunities to start to open the door. And then the following thing for there is really preparation. If you read about the company, you start talking, you open the door with traffic. And then once you start conversation, the best attack is really to talk about them. Because when you talk about them, they're more likely to speak, which is what you want. And then you, as the listener, you don't necessarily just talk about you want. This is part of reading the situation. When they say this, you kind of go a certain way. When they say that, you go another way. So you're kind of leading the conversation, listening to what they're saying, and then saying something. Don't close the door or ask something that's answerable by yes or no. Open-ended
open
questions so that they keep on talking.
So the start is connect call, and then connect practice and messaging is how to follow the conversation.
Well, those are two different things. The one in Connect Goal, Connect Practice, that's specifically for LinkedIn. But of course, one, you have to give me a different situation. That was face to face. So when you say Connect Cold, yes, it's the same thing because they're strangers. You're opening the conversation. So when you take a look at the LinkedIn material, that's the same as Connect Cold. When you take a look at Connect Practice and LinkedIn, these are actually names of people that you can practice with. In your case, you don't have that opportunity to practice because you're live with the person. So you're actually practicing. It's like on-the-job training. You're practicing with the live person, but you're doing your homework by speaking to us today about what to do. Okay? And then to connect it with what we're talking about, connect messaging is the students started making cold connections on LinkedIn and they were like, what the heck do I say now? Which is kind of what we're talking about here. Once you open the door, talk about traffic, you do your research, talk about their product. So I guess when I say you're reading the situation, you react to them based on what they're saying. Obviously, the more research you did about their company, the more you have to talk about. Question?
Just to practice.
Yeah, it's practice, really. And that's why we wanted you to practice on, so that's very good, Juan. Okay, so the purpose for these meetings is when you come back to next Thursday's meetings, you will have some success stories. You will have some stories where the person wasn't talking or it was a bad experience, whatever it was. Then you can bring it back to these meetings. We can talk about it. And that's how we're learning as a group in your outreach so that you guys get better in preparation for when you're looking for your full-time jobs. Make sense?
That makes sense to.
So how about
weekly
let's
sessions.
talk about an ideal situation. If I have magic and I have a magic wand, let's create the perfect scenario for Juan when he goes to this manufacturing show tomorrow. What would be a perfect situation?
For example.
Let's make it up. Let's make it up.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to do because you're trying to think of scenarios. That's what you're really being taught. When we say we teach you how to read the situation, you're ready for whatever scenario. So I'm saying for our discussion today, let's talk about the perfect scenario. So Juan, how would it go? And feel free to jump in, Arun and Atharv, as Juan leads the conversation. Let's make it a group brainstorm.
So, for example, start talking about well, ideal would be start talking about whether.
So let me play the other guy. I'll play the other guy.
Okay.
Go ahead, Juan. Or I could be I could be the lady also. Okay, I could be the female professional. My name is Martha. Go ahead, Juan. I'm Martha. I'm here at the show, and I'm presenting for my company.
Okay. Well, hello, Marta. How did you come here? I don't know.
This is good practice. This is good practice.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice how Juan is freezing?
Yeah,
right?
I'm a bit
doesn't know
shy.
what to say exactly. This is why we have these meetings.
Okay.
Because I have to prepare.
Yes.
I'm so shy if I know to prepare the.
Yeah. And I even throw a wrench there. Now I made it a female that you're talking to. So there's male-female dynamics. But you see, when you go to events like this, you should be prepared for anything.
Okay.
And that's why we're talking about it. That's why we have these opportunities to talk about the situation. So what were you thinking, Juan, as you were trying to formulate what to say? Number one, you said you were shy. What else were you thinking?
That he may reject me depending on my question.
Okay, that's a normal reaction. You're worried that she would reject you, but I would say that because it's a professional show, she at least needs to have the courtesy to be proper. Okay, you see what I mean? If you said good morning, she has to say good morning in a show. Are you catching this?
Yes.
Or if you say hello, she has to say hello. Otherwise, she wouldn't be the right person at the show. The company had to pick somebody who was friendly for an event like that. So let's start again. Or somebody else want to try? Atharv or Arun? Or we can force one until he comes up
Well, I
with
can
something.
start, for example, saying, "Oh, I'm so impressed on this fair, and I'm also so impressed that you have a great I don't know the word in English.
Great display.
Which
Display.
is
If they have a display, because it's
yeah,
a
the
show,
display,
right?
a great display. It
Yeah.
makes me think that you're a great company. So
Okay, hang on. Okay. So you have the right idea. He was thinking of going the compliment route, which is perfect. But if you notice, he's starting to think of one after the other. Part of what you guys need to remember is it's a conversation.
so
Okay.
Say something, pause, and allow them to speak. Otherwise, it's not a back and forth.
yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear that? So I
Yes.
would say,
So,
oh my God, this is such a great display. Then don't continue. Wait for them to say something,
okay.
right? It makes it much, much easier for you, Juan.
Okay.
And this is what I'm talking about, read the situation. I loved it that you started with the complimenting. So you say, great display. So I'd be Martha. Oh my God, thank you so much. Now what do you say?
Yeah. It seems that you're a great company. What are
I would say
you?
so because I work here. I would tend to agree that it's great.
And and well, if I have researched a bit about the company, I could ask some question about the
Yeah,
company.
you could.
Um,
So let's make it up. All right. Atharv has to drop off. Thank you for joining us. We'll send you the recording, Atharv.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
so, um, well, I could ask about. I've researched on web about your IRP for manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
What can you tell me
But
about
did you
that?
see how nice and not awkward it is, right? So you have the right idea. You open the door, and then now you're talking about them. Any questions about what we just did?
No, sir.
No questions? Go ahead, Juan.
So just ask to tell me more about the company or the specific tool that I'm interested in, which is the ERP.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe I could start when she answer me with some ideas about their company SRP. I could talk that I have developed some CRM for residents and asking about what do you think are the common points between a CRM or IRP and something like that.
Yeah.
Show me.
Arun, I'm just gonna say, Arun, I muted you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you need to, okay? Just
Sure.
realize that you're the noise.
Yes.
Go ahead, Juan. So I wouldn't do that too soon, however, Juan, where you started
Okay.
talking about yourself. Okay. Make sure that they're comfortable and they're talking before you talk about yourself.
Okay.
Or she'll start asking about you because it's quite awkward if she's the only one who's talking.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
let's review what we did.
So
We opened the door.
wait until
talk
she
about
asks
them.
me about
Well,
me.
you could even start it, but you don't just do it immediately.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
just trying to point out that the reason you were kind of like opening up you were warming her up, so to speak, okay?
Yeah,
That's
so
why we talked about the opening. You still talk about them so that they keep on talking, and then you read the situation by responding to what they're saying.
yeah,
All I'm saying is
it
don't
will
talk
depend
about
on
yourself.
yeah.
Don't talk about you immediately.
Okay, so it will depends on the next question will depends on the answer for the previous one.
Yes,
So,
that's what we mean by reading the situation. Reading the
But-
situation
but-
means it depends on how the conversation is going.
but you even have to prepare like some topics or
Yeah.
stuff about their company to if the conversations goes to end like make it like the game.
Yeah. So you can pretty much take the conversation wherever it goes, but you need to start observing who you're speaking to. If their energy keeps on going, that means you're talking about a good topic. If you start noticing their energy dropping or they start looking around like they're not interested in what you're talking about, then that means switch something in what you're saying. So I would probably say something, oh, how long have you worked for this company? And bring it back to them again. Or I would say who your top competitors are in the industry. So this is why it's very important to read the situation because you have to take that into account as well. If you're noticing they're losing interest or they got busy, that's why I said be prepared for anything. But you decide where the conversation goes. You don't just respond to what you're seeing. You do something to switch it up, to mix it, to make it go better. If it's going bad, then obviously you want it to go better.
Yeah, so you
I know
have
that's
to have a
it's
plan.
kinda,
It's you have to have a plan, but also to answer depending on the previous ask depending on the previous answer, but also having a plan so you lead the conversation to the point that you want.
yes. And you get better with this. I mean, I don't expect you to be perfect tomorrow because it's your first time, but this is why we have these regular meetings because you get to practice the skill. Okay, but we covered some of the basics. The basics is you don't talk about yourself immediately. And remember when we spoke about resume, with the concept in resume, make it about them. The same thing occurs in face-to-face conversation. For them to be interested in the conversation, make it about them first. Because if you start about yourself, people get bored about it. Plus, realize that they're there in the show to present their products. So if you show interest in what they're sharing, then they'll be like, oh, this person's interested. More
Okay.
questions? You guys learn anything from this so far? I'm obviously tailoring it to your questions, guys. So, Arun, question?
My question is, so how to make the things to fill in the right place? What if I mean, it may not always go in the right direction, but should we always have a backup plan in our mind to make the things right?
Well, that's why you're taught to read the situation. You and your
Yep.
best friend, did it always go perfect?
Nope.
Did you always have a plan as a backup plan when you were relating to your friend?
Uh, since he's uh, since he's my best friend, I need not be
No,
formal or
he wasn't
okay.
your best friend immediately.
Okay. Yep.
He was a stranger at some point.
Yep.
You
Yep.
were
Yep.
working your way to become best friend, but I suspect that there were also bad times in that journey, right?
Yes. Yes.
Did you necessarily have a backup plan? Because sometimes these things just happen.
Yep.
I would assert, however, that you were pretty smart at reading the situation such that if you notice that they were sad, you'd be sad with them. Or if they were mad, you'd back up. These weren't necessarily backup plans for you, but you were reading the situation and you were acting according to the situation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So the
Yes.
same thing for Juan tomorrow when he goes out there. He doesn't expect perfect situation. We kind of talk about general things, but at the end of the day, Juan has to read the situation such that if Martha said this, he would say this. If Martha said that, he would say that. But also in the back of his mind, he has Juan's agenda is obviously to know the company more so that he can start creating business relationships. I'm assuming, Juan, that you're approaching the companies that you want tomorrow, that you could possibly want to work for or work with, right?
Yeah.
So did I connect the dots for you guys with your question, Arun?
Yes, Bernie. Thanks a
Okay,
lot.
was there a part 2 to that question? Were you good? Okay. I guess that was it. Juan,
Yeah, good.
did you have
But
any
you-
more questions?
Ah, no. I think it's
Yeah.
No,
great
Bernie.
for tomorrow.
I'm checking the time clock. I don't want to open up a new topic, but like I said, the reason we have these meetings is I like to tailor the meeting based on who's attending, which is Juan and Arun right now. So let's just finish off this session with anything that you had about anything that we spoke about, or if you have a new question. So let's finish off with that. Any other questions about what we've spoken about so far?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's very clear just to practice. For example,
Yeah.
I try to connect on LinkedIn this morning with an alumni student of IIT who also is alumni from my Spanish university. Even studied the same bachelor's than me. So maybe and he's working on a company that really interests me for the career fair. So I think if I can connect with him, I can ask questions about the job that he's doing and even the job that I'm interested on. So it would be
Okay.
a great.
So how would you exchange information? Because you're
Well,
gonna need this
I didn't
tomorrow.
exchange because I only have I only have 4 connections with Node.
No, I'm
so-
talking about tomorrow for the event.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
How to what?
How would you ask for contact information or to set the expectation that you are going to be communicating further? Because if you don't open that door, the door is pretty much shut.
Yeah.
I mean, you can open it again with some of the LinkedIn strategies, but since you already opened the door in person, keep it open.
Yeah.
So
How
I'm
to ask
asking
for
you, how
a
do I
personal
transition?
card? Yeah.
So what would you say?
How to ask for a personal card?
Well, no, I want you to tell me exactly what you would say. So let's just say I'm Martha, you and I had a good conversation, and you're about ready to leave.
Well,
How would you keep the door
Yeah.
open so that the
Yeah.
expectation is set?
Yeah, I have to come back to the university because I have a meeting, but I'm so interested in your company and specifically in your IRP products. So could you, how can we continue?
You're making it too hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it easier. So where's my phone? My phone is tied up as a sign, but this is my phone. Okay, this is my phone. I'd be like, thank you so much for the conversation, Martha, but I have to run. Are you on LinkedIn? Would you mind if we connected on LinkedIn?
Well, if it is not too direct, it's
not direct. Whenever people go, okay, in the US, because they're at an event that expect to be networking, I would be surprised if they actually would not have business cards ready. They'll probably have it ready. Okay,
Okay.
for people to take, because when you go to events, it's about sharing your information. But if they did not have their information ready, sometimes they may or may not have LinkedIn, but because you know that LinkedIn is powerful and that you know that you could create business relationships on LinkedIn, you could also ask for it on the spot with your phone. Did you notice how I
Okay.
bring out my phone and just use it?
So even getting a card, it's a good. It's good to ask for LinkedIn. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Or you could also say, what is your best method of communication, email or LinkedIn? Don't make the assumption, because some people don't get
Okay.
on LinkedIn either. But it was somebody that you truly, truly wanted, you better find out what's their preferred method
Okay.
so
Or
that you
can
can
we
use the method. Go ahead, Arun.
or can we use both?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why I'm saying keep the options open, and
Okay.
better still, ask them what their preferred method is. That
Okay.
way you can ensure that they would respond, because you could ask for their LinkedIn, but what if they're not active on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
You
You
have
see
to
what I
ask
mean?
again for
So
email.
that's why you ask
Yeah.
them, since you have them, what is your best, what is your preferred method of communication?
Okay.
And by saying that, I'm setting the expectation that I will be in touch. Helpful?
And I usually go to the the people that goes to the first are usually sales people more
Mhm.
than engineers, because maybe it's something that it happens in Spain, that for example we have a career fair and all the people that comes are for human resource department. So if we ask a question a bit technical or about the specific job, they can't they couldn't like answer us.
Answer. Yeah.
So I mean, uh, yeah, it will be a good way to connect to the people that I'm interested in. But maybe her Martha herself is not.
Well, you could ask Martha.
Yeah.
Hey, actually, I'm a student at Illinois Tech. This is my master's. Do you know who in your company would be a good person to connect to on LinkedIn?
Okay.
It's part of the conversation. See,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
you read the situation. That's why you
Yeah. The
create the
thing is
business
that I don't know
relationship.
which is uncomfortable or too direct, rather than okay, like way of asking. I mean, I don't know.
That's where you read body language.
Yeah.
Right? Whether in Spain or the US, people are people, human beings. We feel this, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable. If you feel that they're uncomfortable, I'm so sorry. Did I make you, was that uncomfortable? Should I not have asked that? It's okay to say that also. Do you get that?
Okay. Okay.
Because you said you're not sure, but by me talking about it is number one, it shows them that you care, that you made them uncomfortable. And number two, you're actually talking about it. Now it's not a question mark. Because we're talking about it, she would kind of respond, oh, no, 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 you didn't make me uncomfortable. My phone just buzzed. That's why I kind of acted that way. But you did two things. Number one, they know that you care. It shows that you're a good person. And then number two, that you care about what they thought. And then number three, you're not wondering about it, whether you made them feel uncomfortable because you talked about it. And she said she wasn't.
Okay.
Did that help?
Yeah.
It's just another human being that you're having a relationship with. So always think from the standpoint of, okay, what if somebody did that to me? But I can understand one, with cultural differences, it's obviously a different society. Or you can even start out, I mean, you could obviously tell that I'm not from here. That could be part of your conversation. So I apologize in advance if I don't know what the right thing to say or the wrong thing to say is. See,
Or
it becomes
even
a
ask for
conversation piece.
recommendation or advice
Yes.
regarding
Okay,
the product.
apologizing
Because,
prior
yeah.
to the communication. I mean, prior to the before starting the conversation with them. Won't they think that at the first itself we are asking for apology? Will it misdirection? or is there any possibility that we may lose the contact or any connect with them? Asking your apology at first.
No, at first not, but maybe when you start talking,
Okay.
like you can at the end, for example, later later than asking for the contact information, the last question could be, and what are the companies could you recommend me to go to visit there
Yeah.
or something like that?
Or you could say, some of these companies, careful though, because obviously some of those guys are their competitors
Competitors,
also.
but yeah.
So it depends on how your conversation went. So
Okay.
like I said, it's also about, that's still
And
part
you
of
can
reading the
even make a
situation.
joke with that at the end of.
Well,
But
sometimes you don't know, and then if you made a mistake, you just say, I'm sorry. We're not perfect, we're human, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure you say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Learn anything today?
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully we want to see you next week, Juan, with some of your questions
Okay.
from your practice session. And
Yeah, my
Arun,
experience.
and yeah, and Atharv, who was on the recording earlier, my expectation is that you guys practice some of the concepts that we shared so that you have even more questions next Thursday.
Sure, definitely.
All right. If you have any questions between now and Thursday, please message me on LinkedIn. All right, guys?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for joining today's session, and thank you to the people who are listening to the recording. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Bye, guys.
Bye, Bernie.
Thank you. Thank you,
Really
Bernie.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice